I got a couple extra, mate.
Well, a lot of, when they first started having muzzleloading hunter, they called it primitive weapon. That included bows and arrows and primitive weapons, flintlock, percussion. Now then they changed it to muzzleloading, so it includes the inlines. Well, the inline is all right, but they're not the original muzzleloaders, they're not the old ones. And what I'd like to talk about is, I'm going to apologize, I left the main thing, a big box full of everything that goes with these guns, and we're going to talk about that, so I'm just going to run through it. Flintlocks, people that don't know, the firing mechanism is they use flint. That's the original. Behind the, put the powder down the barrel, put your ball in there. You got a different kind of powder, real fine powder you put in this pan. Then you flip this down. That protects it. And there's all kind of ways of putting the grease around that to keep rain getting in it. They got a cap that goes over it. They call it
cow's knee.
Cow's knee. Anyway, when this gun fires, it comes down and strikes this prism. It pops it open just enough, like that. The spark goes in this pan with real fine powder. It's 4F. It burns, goes in, and fires the gun. It is all they had for a lot of time. They had, match locks and all that early ones, but this is what they come up with later on. But if it's raining, foggy, or you don't keep that thing right, then you have a misfire. So eventually, about 18, 20, 30, they come out with the percussions. So it made it easier on us.
This one too, the thing about the frizzing, I do a lot of reenactments. I use predominantly flintlocks. The humidity in Florida, as at night when it starts cooling down, that iron, now that frizzing gets cold, and just the moisture in the air would just kill it. And so I usually have a rag hanging on the bottom of it, and I keep that thing dry, because if there's any water on it, it's not going to spark. So it's basically, a flint is actually, it's scraping the metal off of, it's harder than steel, and it's scraping the metal off. That's where the sparks are coming from.
That's the reason, in the south, they're not that reliable for hunting with. So we mostly, I've been doing this for probably 50-something years. And some of these guns this one I built 48 years ago, and it's still shootable, and I kill a lot of deer with it. And then as I got older, my eyesight went to leaving. So then I went to shotguns, and you kill deer, buckshot, slugs, round balls, kill squirrels, turkeys, whatever you got it's a more all-around gun for survival techniques. And then, of course, everything evolved, but I didn't bring all the stuff that went with it because I just forgot. I'm old and I just left it on the table in a box. The powder horns, the mags and things that I build, different bags. I have made black powder, and all you got to buy is sulfur to make black powder. The rest you can make if you understand the procedure. Potassium nitrate is made from, you can make it from urine, and you burn some kind of not a real hardwood, but not a softwood to get your charcoal and you grade that. And they've got 2 or 3 recipes that I use to 15, 15, 70. 15 natrium potassium, 15 sulfur, and 70 charcoal. And you make it into water, and you put all that in, it's like making a bread, but you make it kind of like a pancake batter, a little thicker. You make it, mix it real good, and then you pour it out on a thin piece of parchment paper on something and let it dry. And then you break it up, and then you screen it to get the different sizes of powder. There's a single F, which is used for cannons. Double F and triple F. Double F is used mostly for shotguns, big bores. And you can use triple F in up to 50 caliber. Anything bigger, you want to go back down to double F. And the 4F is priming powder. And some guys will even take that 4F and get it a little finer by rubbing it with some bricks, a wood, between 2 wooden spoons to get it finer and put in there. Because the finer it is, the faster it burns.
Ronnie, did they use the 4F in pistols too, didn't they?
Well, if you go way down on the 36 caliber, 32 caliber, some small calibers. 44s is mostly what your revolvers and pistols are, big caliber. So triple F works good there. But any gun, I don't care if it's a muzzle loader or a modern gun, you can build, every one of these guns gonna shoot different, the rifles. So you got to play with it, you load different loads. This is a 50 caliber. A lot of people say, oh, I use 90, 120. I never shoot over 70. But that's what it likes. With a round ball, with 30,000 grease pack. 100 yards, shoots good. Anything else, it just go throwing them off. So you got to know what the gun shoots. It's legal now to convert a single shot shotgun into a muzzle loader. All it is you laid out a half a shell out of metal, stainless steel preferable. You drill a 1/4 inch hole just the size of the number 209 shotgun primer. Then you drill a 16th hole on through that. Then I just notch a little bit there and I put that primer in there, take the gun, pour my powder down the barrel, put my shot and then my cover on it, and it's ready to go. And it'll shoot every time. And it's fun to hunt squirrels. And for the round rod for it, when you get a converter gun to that, there's no way to attach it in here, so I just made one that can screw right together and fits in my possible bag, and you can load it back and shoot. But everything else. This is a 50 that I made. This is a 54 that I just got not too long ago, and it was kind of rusted and messed up a little bit, so I sandblasted it. I checked the bore first to make sure, because most people buy a muzzle loader and shoot them 1 or 2 times and set them in the corner. Next year, his gun's no good. It's gone. So you've got to clean up a black powder gun. You don't leave the rifle out the barrel. This one I sandblasted. Cleaned it real good, and then I sprayed it with a earth brown, flat, black, good quality paint. It ain't gonna rust. You can handle it all you want to. You can hunt with it. It looks pretty good. This is a 12 gauge converted from an old Hawkins I had. I took a shotgun barrel, built my own breech plug, put it in here. Just made a 12 gauge shotgun out of it. Shoots good, full choke. Good turkey gun, good squirrel gun, good duck gun, whatever. This is a 16 gauge, same way. I come off of a double barrel, took the barrel with a full choke. This stock, no, I built myself. Everything except I bought the lock. And this is even prefabbed off of those shotgun parts I find. This one, this is a homemade trigger and all. It's a 20 gauge, light as a feather. Good crow gun. They call them canoe guns. They built these shorter guns for the traders that was on the canoes where they could just lay them down and grab them quick. This is a 28 gauge. You can shoot round balls and all these. They make molds for round balls, you can shoot buckshot. This is a 28 gauge. I picked up the barrel that had been, was some kind of old military barrel that they had bored out to 550. It was close to 28 gauge. And they were selling them to make 28 gauge out of it. The 28 gauge plastic wad, if I go down to these, but a 54 caliber round ball with about 30,000 patch, good and tight. And then you can put shot in and make your own wad. You can make anything for these. You know, you buy punches to make your own wads. This one belonged to Eric that he had was a lamp. Made a lamp out of it. And it wasn't finished, so we got it and finished it up. And we hunted with this gun. I had one just like it, I killed a couple of doe deer with in deer dove season. Buckshot is great. Close range is great on ducks and doves. But 40 yards, I killed a doe in doe season. 40 yards of that thing. Had 9 single-aught buckshot in there, and it didn't have that much powder. But what I really want to talk about is all the stuff that I used to make for these guns. Each one I got a certain little thing in every gun. The bullet molds, the bullets, whatever you need. But if you got questions about muzzle loaders, I can answer questions better than I can just think on my head and tell you something. So if you got any questions, ask them, and I'll be glad to let you know. Or stock building or anything, and that's a job. This stock here, I made out of a piece of maple that come out of the swamp where I live. The striping, it's not, the striping on it is artificial. It's hydrochloric acid. You take the raw wood and you get the stock made, you streak it on there and let it set a while, then when you stain it, it'll turn out different. And this is old, this is 48 years old, so you see it's still pretty good shape. and it shoots great. So, but the parts for these guns now has got expensive. When I bought some of these locks, like this is a special lock, it's called a back. Most of the lock is up front, and that's a back, it's a front end tie-rod type lock. And back then, when I bought this thing in the 70s, it was about $50-something. I think $300. These guns, like this one here, this flintlock, 4 or 5 years ago, you could buy a kit for $100. Now they're about $700 or $800. The gun put together like this is $1,200. It's just ridiculous the way these primitive, you know, it's whatever. It's just ridiculous. But
Yeah, tell them about the swamp barrel on that one.
yeah, they call it swamp. If you get, you know, look at this gun. It's the same size right here, but when it gets right here, the barrel gets bigger, thicker. And the way they done that for is to balance, because if they put a lot of stock on these old Kentuckys. So if you made the barrel the same size, it'd be like this. So they make it when you throw it up, it just falls right over. Just to gain some weight on the end, so they just made the barrel, it swells out at the end. You can see it if you look. It swells out, they call it swamping. And they had some other reasons for it, but I can't think of any would be any valuable.
You told them about the flint, but you didn't tell them about them swapping over to the caps about 1845.
Oh, percussion caps. Oh, yeah.
Percussion
Well,
caps, yeah.
well, they few that don't know, but, and even these things, you could buy them for hardly nothing. Now you can't hardly find them. Number 11 or number 10 that fits these guns. They got one, a musket cap is bigger, but
Yeah.
you can actually make these. If you can find these little toy gun caps, like, you can make them. They got a press that makes that little copper disc, and you still cut that little cap out, stick it in, hit it work.
You can also use the ever strike matches, strike
Yeah,
anywhere
yeah.
matches.
The
You
little
can
white,
use
but it's
that.
hard to find them anymore.
I know.
But used to be, there's 100 in here, and they used to be a couple of bucks.
Yeah, I just bought 3/10 of them. They're at $4 for 100 now.
Well, that's still cheap.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
can't buy 100. And I'll guarantee you, if you've got a good muzzleloader, and you hunt with it, it's one shot, one kill, you're gonna be more careful. You take that 100 caps and you'll kill 75 or 80 animals. But when you got a shotgun, you can just get up and shoot 4 or 5 times, it might knock something down, you might not, you know. It's a different thing. You gotta train yourself to do that, and then it gets to being fun. See?
So, but you wouldn't carry them in that.
No, they got it. I had all that.
You've got a little thing you can hang on there
Yeah.
that it has the caps in it, so that you push it forward, you'll put it on a nipple and pull it off. Some guys have little round ones that are made out of leather. It's preloaded, and you put it on
And
there.
I had the loading block for these rifles here. I had several. Each one. It's a piece of wood, and some of them makes them in pretty designs. Mine's out of walnut, and it's got a handle on it. It hangs on your side. Everything
Yeah,
from mother hangs on
he's
your
got one
back.
right there with the bone. Yes.
That's not a. That's a.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about that ball starter for the pistol.
No, I'm talking about the primer. The
Oh,
little primer. The inline one. They got some that's round.
Right.
But it's just a little thing that you put several of those primers in.
Yeah.
And I got a different bag. That's some of Eric's stuff there. But you hang your bag, and everything that you need is hanging right here.
Right.
Then you got a little patch knife that sticks in a little thing. Everything you need is right here. You just, your horns here, you dump powder in, you reach and get the primer, you reach and get the wads, and you stick, and then everything's there. But most rifles, you got to have a bullet starter, and I got several. You start that patch. Now, this one shoots a maxi ball or a mini ball real good, because it's got 1 and 48-inch twist. This one is 1 and 66-inch twist. You don't know what that means? It means 48 inches, the rifle is turned 1 time. 66 inches, it turned 1 time. Modern weapons go down to 10. But muzzle loaders, for some reason, they don't, about 48. I think they do make some of the new inlines 24, sometimes. But when you put that ball up there with that patch around it, it's hard to get started. So that sits on, that gets it started, and then you drop it down that far, and take your rod and push it on down. And it needs to set on the powder.
Yeah, very important.
What you do, you put that in the empty gun. Then you put your powder in it, amount of time, 70 grain, 80 grain, whatever you want to find out shoot. Then you drop this on again and ease it down there and hit a stop. Then you wanna put a little nick right there. Then you put your ball in there, and then you'll know that it's on top of your powder. Then you do the same thing on the ball. Then every time you load it and drive that ball down there, you don't want airspace between the powder and the ball, it causes pressure to build up too quick right there, cause you got oxygen in it, and it could crack the ball, but it's generally don't. But anyway, when you push that down, you know but most of you don't bend it either. You see them on TV where you don't pack it on that powder, you just want it setting on it, and that's it. Then it's ready to go. You prime it, it's ready to go. Shotguns are a little different. For instance, I generally keep something over it when you store it, just to keep, but I like to put my cap on there, and you got a hadcock on these things. Right there. But them caps will fit tight on, they won't come off. Then you load. You load one barrel at a time. You pour your powder, you put your powder wads, which is felt with a card cord in the bottom. Then you put the amount of shot in this barrel. You always make sure you don't want to load both of them to forget it. Then you put they got a wad that goes over it that holds the shot in there. And then you come to this barrel and do the same thing. Then you're ready to go. And your deer hunting, this is great. Well, you got 2 shots with buckshot, and they're just as good as any. They're open cylinder barrels. I have used those steel wads. If it's not split, that you buy, and that holds them shot together further as they come out, so they don't fly open and come apart. It holds the wad out there about 20 feet. And buckshot stays in that wad, so when they open up, you got a tighter pattern, is what I'm saying. So there's all kind of little tricks to get better wads.